So I wanted to talk just for a few minutes about an aspect of right view. Right view is both very simple, but it can also sort of feel quite complex, and you can come at it from a number of different ways. It can seem a bit slippery. Yeah, I can see a few nods. So one of the ways that can help is the sort of language that we use. And just recently I was on retreat, and someone who's a very experienced practitioner, and he also works teaching meditation. He was explaining that part of his work is to in a way help sort of people just really connect with their own experience. Some people having problems hearing me. No, I think no. Okay, Mudita Leela, I think maybe it's you can't hear me, but yeah, anyway, I think that's to do with you. So yeah, this person, it was their job to help people sort of get connected, embodied. So he asked about the impersonal language that I was using. So taking the I out of a sentence in meditation. So not talking about my body or my mind or what I'm seeing, but more impersonal language, the body, the mind. And he was saying, so he thought this would be quite a hard habit to change, given how much that he was using a different sort of language through his work. And he said, did it matter? Did this more impersonal language matter? And initially, I think I wanted to be somewhat reassuring because he was doing fine. So I think I fudged it a little bit, and I said, well, yeah, it's just language. It's just language, and it doesn't necessarily trick the mind for very long. But then I thought about it a bit more, and I thought, no, actually, it is important. It is more than a linguistic trick, if you like, using this more impersonal language, because I think it can help change our relationship to how we talk to ourselves, and then how the mind thinks, how the mind thinks about what is happening. And that's the way that right view is manifesting, through changing that relationship to how we're thinking, how we're feeling, and taking a thought or a feeling or a sensation less personally. It becomes, rather than the neighbor's intrusive noise that bothers us, it becomes simply that sound's happening, sound is being known. So we can get into this habit of just taking the I out of the way that we talk to ourselves, or taking the my out, and in that way we relax this grip of what we call selfing. Just relax that grip of, this is about me, this is mine, or to do with me or mine. And actually the perspective that becomes more natural, not that it's necessarily thought out, but the relationship to what's happening becomes simply a more of an interaction of physical and mental processes through our sense experience, through our body experience, or body mind. And when that's happening, when there's this more impersonal relationship, then we tend to be able to spot more easily when the mind is not doing that, when there's more of a clinging to self, there's more identification with self. Often then we might notice the craving or aversion in the mind. There's sort of I want this, or I don't want that. And we're able to see that in awareness. So it's not just about seeing one side of it, but actually seeing where selfing manifests, and seeing those moments when it doesn't, and what's happening then. What's that experience like? So sometimes, I sometimes hear concerns about alienation using this more impersonal language. But I think if we're really feeling into what's happening, both through the awareness and the objects of awareness, with curiosity, then I think that's much less likely to happen. That sort of state where we're more sort of separate from experience, sort of looking down on experience. So we still have involvement with what's happening, but it's more of a wise involvement with objects, a wise relationship to what's happening. And when there is interest or curiosity, even delight in the process of noticing what's happening through the senses, what's happening in the mind, all of those qualities, the interest, being curious about something, to the point of feeling this sense of delight in the act of being aware. All of those things are associated with the wisdom mind. So there are ways that we can notice that wisdom is starting to manifest in the mind. That less personal relationship can't really take hold when there's interest or strong curiosity about what's happening. So one last thing, and that's what is called the passive voice. It can be very helpful in this area. So phrases such as sound is known, seeing is known, knowing sensation, knowing a thought. So again, we're just taking the I out of the way we language. So it's actually more direct. There's the object and the knowing of that object, or there's the mind process, the seeing or the hearing, and the knowing of that process as it happens in the mind. So that's helpful in emphasizing the knowing, as well as what we're usually very well aware of, which is what's being known. So that's all I'll say for now. Leave it there. If you'd like to set yourselves up for sitting.